You know that feeling when someone pushes you so far, for so long, that eventually your brain stops thinking about consequences and starts thinking about survival. Well, when I was 8 years old, my dad called me a ferret, laughed at me in front of family, and ordered me to get him a glass of water. And that was the day I started getting revenge. If you've ever dealt with someone who made you feel small, powerless, or invisible, subscribe right now. Hit like, comment below, and stick around, because this story starts petty, but turns into something way darker, way sadder, and honestly, way more human than I ever expected. So growing up, my dad wasn't the kind of parent people warn you about publicly. He wasn't the guy getting arrested. He wasn't screaming in grocery stores. He wasn't leaving bruises where people could see them. No, he specialized in small cruelty. The kind that sounds almost harmless when you explain it quickly. Tiny humiliations. Petty little punishments. Cruel comments disguised as jokes. Death by 1,000 cuts. And the worst part, he always made sure it happened in a way where, technically, he could deny everything. If I got upset, I was too sensitive. If I cried, I was dramatic. If I reacted, suddenly I was the problem. And as a kid with ADHD, I already felt like something was wrong with me. I was hyper, loud, emotional. I bounced off the walls. I interrupted conversations. I wanted attention constantly. Basically, I was every exhausted parent's nightmare. But instead of understanding that I was just a kid whose brain moved too fast, my dad treated me like an irritation that ruined his day simply by existing. I still remember one thing he said that stuck with me for years. He looked at me completely seriously and said, "If you died on Friday, Saturday we'd be sad, Sunday would be the funeral, and by Monday we'd move on." Imagine hearing that as a child. Not from a bully at school. Not from some random stranger online. From your father. The person who's supposed to protect you. And the thing about comments like that is, they don't just hurt in the moment. They move in permanently. They unpack their bags inside your head. Even now, years later, I can still hear his voice saying it. And then there were the physical things. Not beatings. Just enough aggression to remind me who had power. One time on a cruise ship, I kept trying to get his attention because I was excited about something. I don't even remember what. Maybe dolphins. Maybe food. Maybe I just wanted my dad to look at me for 5 seconds and smile. Instead, he kicked the back of my leg and told me I was annoying. Another time, he forced me to sit at a table for almost 6 hours because I refused to eat cabbage. 6 hours. As a kid, time moves differently. That wasn't dinner. That was prison. And the weirdest part was how fast he could switch personalities. He'd insult me, then immediately ask me to do something for him. Go grab me the remote, get me water, bring me my towel, like degrading me and using me was somehow part of the same routine. At the time, I genuinely believed I had no choice. Because kids don't think in terms of boundaries. They think in terms of survival. Parents are gods when you're little. If they tell you jump, you jump. If they insult you, you assume you deserve it. And if they demand something right after hurting you, you still obey. Then came the backyard incident. I was around 8 years old. My dad was outside with my uncle, drinking and laughing. I remember hovering nearby, wanting to be included, wanting approval, wanting literally any positive attention. Instead, he starts telling my uncle how annoying I am. He compared me to a ferret. A ferret, hyperactive, jumping everywhere, never shutting up. And then he laughed and said, "Go get me some water, ferret, everybody laughed. And something inside me snapped. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, the way a rubber band finally breaks after being stretched too many times. I walked into the kitchen, grabbed the biggest cup I could find, filled it with water, and spit in it, a lot. I remember being weirdly methodical about it too. Like my little 8-year-old brain suddenly became calm, focused. I covered it with ice so nobody could tell. Then I walked back outside and handed it to him. And he drank the entire thing, every drop, while still making jokes. And for the first time in years, I felt powerful, not happy, not healed, powerful. That's the dangerous thing about revenge when you're powerless. Even tiny acts can feel enormous, especially to a child. After that, something changed in me. Every time he insulted me, every time he humiliated me, every time he treated me like I existed only to serve him, I started retaliating, silently, secretly, consistently. He'd ask me to bring his towel. I'd spit on it first. His hairbrush, spit. Keyboard, spit. There was this pink hair lotion he loved, and if you know, you know. That bright pink lotion every black household seemed to have at some point. Every time he bought a new bottle, I'd wait until nobody was looking and spit inside it. Aftershave, body spray, anything I could open without getting caught became a target. And before anybody listening judges too hard, understand something. I was a child trying to create control in a world where I had none. I couldn't scream back, couldn't refuse him, couldn't defend myself, couldn't leave, so my brain found the only form of rebellion it could. Tiny invisible victories. And honestly, those moments carried me. Because after he'd tear me apart verbally, there was this secret little thought in the back of my mind. Yeah, but you just rubbed spit into your hair this morning. It sounds disgusting now, because it was. But back then, it felt like balance, like justice. And the scary part is how normal it became. That's what toxic households do to kids. They normalize dysfunction. You adapt. You survive however you can. Years passed like that. Elementary school turned into middle school. Middle school turned into high school. And eventually, I stopped. Not because I got caught. I never did. Not because he apologized. He didn't. I stopped because I got older. And once you grow up a little, you start realizing something important. You actually can say no. As a kid, that idea never even existed in my mind. But as a teenager, I started pulling away emotionally. I spent more time outside the house, more time with friends, more time realizing other dads didn't constantly humiliate their kids for entertainment. And the older I got, the more complicated my feelings became. Because here's the thing, I don't think my dad woke up every morning plotting to emotionally destroy me. I think he was deeply unhappy. I think he was emotionally immature. I think he probably had his own unresolved trauma that turned into cruelty. But understanding somebody's pain doesn't erase what they did to you. And honestly, the weirdest part of all this, the man never got sick, ever. I'm serious. This dude would brag constantly about having an iron immune system. Meanwhile, in my head, I'm thinking, you have no idea what your immune system has been training against. And I know biologically that's probably not how any of this works. But there was genuinely a period where I wondered if years of exposure somehow made him invincible. Which, honestly, is both horrifying and kind of hilarious. But underneath the humor, there's something sad about this whole story. Because when I look back now, I don't see some evil mastermind revenge plot. I see a little kid begging for dignity, A child so desperate to feel less powerless that he created secret wins wherever he could. And maybe that's why this memory still sticks with me. Not because of the spit, but because of what caused it. Kids don't usually wake up wanting revenge on their parents. They get pushed there, slowly, piece by piece, comment by comment, until eventually the resentment has to go somewhere. Today, I don't spit in anybody's food. I don't secretly sabotage people. I've learned how to set boundaries instead of swallowing anger until it mutates into something ugly. But if there's one thing this whole experience taught me, it's this. The way you speak to children matters more than most people realize. Because humiliation doesn't disappear. It transforms. Sometimes into insecurity. Sometimes into rage. And sometimes into a quiet little 8-year-old standing in a kitchen with a cup of water, trying to feel powerful for the very first time. And honestly, that kid deserved better. If this story hits you emotionally, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more real Reddit revenge stories where karma, pain, and human nature collide in the craziest ways possible. And tell me in the comments, what's the pettiest revenge you've ever witnessed or secretly rooted for?